this weekend. Well, we've got one more pair of Pro Mod cars to show you before we turn our attention to the Pro Stock bikes, which are beginning to come together there. And we've had a bit of a change here in the class we want to tell you about. And it all started on Sunday, September the 22nd at 5:03 with a tweet courtesy of George Bryce. Actually on Facebook, it says, "It does not matter how quick or fast our motorcycles are. You can only win with green lights. We as a team and our drivers must do better." Well, both of his drivers went out with red lights. In fact, one of them, Scotty Pollacheck's, had red lights the last 2 events, and Scotty Pollacheck is no longer with this team. Here's more.
Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m., Scotty Pollacheck calls me up on the phone and says, "Hey, guess what? I'm not racing for you anymore this year. I'm stopping and I'm going to work a race for another team."
It was mostly a personal thing that, I wasn't happy with the situation, and it didn't seem to be getting any better.
You're going to race against one of our biggest competitors. You're going to take our points and everything we've done to go from a ally for the championship and turn into an adversary in one day. So now I got 4 races left to go, and I have to race against you now instead of race with you. I said, that's not fair. That's stealing.
I understand a lot of people think it's bad timing, but this was something that I had been trying to remedy. This wasn't something that happened overnight, and it seemed like it was getting worse and not better, and there was just no need to stay in that situation.
And in my 30 years of motorsports, we've never done anything like that. This is unprecedented. I haven't seen it happen before, and I don't know how it's happened before, but I think it's a real dirty deal.
George Bryce wanted to not mince his words, and if you paid close enough attention to Scotty Pollacheck, you now know he's over with Matt Smith Racing, still competing for that championship aboard a Buell. Mike, what's your thought on that?
Well, I've always liked the fact that the points went to the driver, because I think it gave you a little bit more of a guarantee you couldn't get fired during the middle of the season. Not that you couldn't, it was harder for them to do it. So if I'm going to stay consistent in that, I don't believe it's right that Scotty Pollacheck left and was able to take the points to another team. I think he should have stuck it out to the end of the year and then just went in behind closed doors and said, I'm done.
Opinions are certainly varied about this subject. We'll be talking about it all weekend long, and there you can see Scotty below the do or done line here with just 4 national events to go. Scotty better get doing it now, or you're going to be done. That's according to Mike Jones. You saw the Pro Stock Motorcycle standings, still led by Hector Arana Jr. Matt Smith, that's the man that's going to be calling the shots now on Scotty Pollacheck's bike. I think it's interesting from the fact, Mike, you got a guy who has a championship builder in George Bryce, and now has to go over and have a guy tune his bike that's racing for that very same championship. Conflict of interest perhaps there.
I think so, yeah.
Well, as I said, more on that, but first we're going to wrap it up with Danny Rowe and Robert Patrick Jr. Great look at these cars from behind, how tough they are to get connected to the racetrack, but Danny did it, went 595 at 242 to slide into the number 4 spot. Danny 5th in the points last year. Have a couple more opportunities here.
Look, it's a teammate.
Yep.
Oh, wait, they're not teammates
How
anymore.
ironic. Yeah, side by side they went round number 1.
Michael Ray and Scotty Pollacheck, and boy, they put on a show though for us. Good runs by both, but Michael Ray gets the number 1 spot with a 684. Scotty Pollacheck right behind with a 688.
First little battle in this war goes to George Bryce. You see Michael Ray with that 684, better than 300ths over Adam Arana. Pollacheck in 3rd, down to the 8th place rider. That's Ellie Tonglett for the Suzuki.
Saw some pretty good runs in that first session of motorcycles. You look at 9 through 12 as the top 12 times do carry over. Andrew Hines ran 694, as did Hector Arana, Sean Gann, and Jimmy Underdahl on that 12th and final transfer position with a 695.9 elapsed time.
And with that, it is now mellow yellow qualifying time for the Pro Stock motorcycles. You see those drivers currently now with a top 12 time slip, and that includes Mike Berry and John Hall. John, a bit of a surprise to be there. He won in Epping, won in Indy, and then Mike Berry. We saw a lot of smoke coming out of that bike at the last race. I talked to the team, busted an intake valve. Subsequently, the rest of the engine as well. So that's their B unit.
Good thing they didn't have a supercharger on it. It would have knocked that thing right off the top.
Been an interesting week for that man, John Hall. Kidney stone. Had him in the hospital in Texas on Monday. Excruciating pain. Never experienced anything quite like it.
John Hall with a 692 will slide into the number 8 spot. That is an improvement for him. Berry not going to make the day 1 top 12.
Oh, look at that shot. Look at that wheel spin right there for John Hall. 108 60 foot. Not a good 60 foot. Not horrible, but obviously they lost a lot with that wheel speed. Now it looks like the tire's starting to hook up and is carrying that front wheel. That was a great shot showing exactly how that launched. I mean, obviously every time they let the clutch out, there is a controlled amount of wheel spin, but obviously that was excessive right when he first let the pedal out, and then it carries the front end. Cool.
One name missing on the qualifying list is Angie Smith. Angie will now serve as a crew member. She works on the bike with Scotty Pollacheck. She'll not race the rest of the season, but they're planning for next year.
In the interest of fair reporting, the bike that Pollacheck is riding is not Angie's bike. It was the bike that Don Minturn has ridden a few times this year. So that's the bike he is on, tuned by Matt Smith. Right now, though, it's about Joe DeSantis, the 70-plus-year-old in West Wells. Going to struggle for both of these riders. It's only DeSantis that has a race day start. Neither one of these time slips will get them in to the day one top 12. We mentioned the track records were certainly a possibility tonight if you're paying attention and want to write down these numbers for Pro Stock Motorcycle. The track record ET 6.809. Hector Rana Jr. Speed mark, Eddie Krawick went 197. I don't know if we're going to quite get that fast. Jerry Savoie will be on a bye. That's the alligator farmer, supposed to be alongside of Michael Phillips. Not sure what's going on with Michael.
I think on that first run today, Michael may have blown a motor. We saw a lot of smoke and some oil coming out of that. I'm assuming that maybe he wasn't able to replace it. Let's get a look at him.
There's Michael right there. Him.
He's had a very tough season, Michael Phillips has.
Last Suzuki winner on tour now over 2 years.
Jerry Savoie has a Suzuki and a Buell this weekend. He has selected the Suzuki for his efforts. That's a great run. 688.8.
That thing
10-spot improvement.
Locked in the groove. That was straight as a string. Nice pass.
Taking a look there. Good 60-foot 105 as Gary was pointing out, right down the middle of the lane. Had to make one little adjustment through the middle, but Jerry Savoie has actually been making some pretty decent runs here lately.
Well, this should be a good test of what this racetrack has for us here at Gateway International. Hector Rana Sr. comes to the line. He's a power-ranked rider this week, and he's got himself a nice points position. Third in the points, 2 rounds back. Helped himself out here by grabbing a couple little points. Jimmy Underdahl, the Suzuki, who's struggled this year, will be in the opposite lane. Hector made that back-breaking run in the first session back last week in Dallas. Rain shortened on Saturday. First session out, he went 684, a tenth quicker than the number 2 qualifier from that session. Now, obviously, they picked up a little bit after that, but boy, that was a heck of a run he made. Red light does not matter in qualifying. Lanes are individually timed. Hector Rana 684.5 misses the number 1 spot by a thou. Speed nice at 195.87. That's top of the weekend so far.
It's all about that 60-foot. He's been trying to get his 60-foot times better. He's only 107. He likes being in that 103, 104 range. That's where he was a lot last year, but he really struggled in that department this season.
Well, while the next pair come to the line, Andrew Hines and Sean Gann at the top end, an opportunity to catch up with Jerry Savoie. Jerry, how you doing up there, sir? I know it's kind of off and on being an alligator farmer and whatnot. And then, of course, with the back surgery you had over the offseason a couple of times. How are you feeling? We going to get you back out here full time?
I'm feeling good, except I had neck surgery. But, yeah, we'll be back full time. We're not going to make Reading. We didn't make the top 10. We're trying to save a little money. But we will be in Vegas and we will be in Pomona.
So the neck surgery, is that from wrestling them gators, or what? What's up with that?
Just a lot of years of abuse.
Well, I remember the story you were telling me about that. A lot of that is how you feed these animals and the fact that sometimes those doors will kind of close down on your neck area.
Yeah, you don't want to tell anybody you've been hit on top of the head too many times. Making funny things, but yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Jerry, you have both a Suzuki and a Buell. What determines which motorcycle you ride on any given national event?
I feel more comfortable on the Suzuki. And with the engine program that Vance and Hines has, it's really a big help. I think the Buicks have a little advantage right now, but the Suzukis, we're making some progress as you've seen over the last few races. So we feel pretty confident that we actually testing for next year right now is what we're doing.
So are you going to stick with the Suzuki, or are you going to try to go with the Buell?
No, absolutely Suzuki. If anybody wants to buy a Buell, I have one for sale.
Jerry, I want to know, when are you going to get some Batman leathers like Sean Gann here, kind of spiff up your game?
Man, I might go get me one of them Florida Gator things and get out there and do that hatchet thing they do or something with the alligator mouth. I don't know.
I like it.
I'm thinking some alligator leathers. Come on, you raise those animals, right?
There you go.
Yeah, that would work.
Hey, Jerry, great to spend some time with you.
Thank you, sir.
We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
The Alligator Farm Round of Louisiana, Jerry Savoie. This is Ellie Tongler on the Suzuki. Steve Johnson also on a Suzuki. Both are qualified. Both looking to improve.
Nice.
Ellie does with a 690. That's a 2-spot improvement if nothing else changes, which of course it will tomorrow. But the 8-9 pair, it would represent the first round matchup. So haven't quite seen that improvement we thought maybe we would, but it seems like from this category to the next normally aspirated category, things will kind of change up. And it seems like we see it all the time too, just when we think both nitro categories will step up, only one of them does. It's kind of weird how that works out.
Yeah, you know, the motorcycles, a lot of times if they have a headwind, it really affects them a lot. So even though the conditions as far as making horsepower is better, if they have a little bit of a headwind, you don't see a whole lot of improvement. It looks like it's pretty nice out there, and talk about some horsepower right there. That's
nearby Air Force Base here in the St. Louis area. Looks like a T-38, perhaps a trainer there.
Been on one of them?
No, unfortunately, I have not. My father was in the Air Force, and I did not get to take advantage of that nearly enough. Saw the Thunderbirds numerous times, but
nice.
Hector Arana Jr., that's the point leader, who's in the left lane. Eddie Krawiec got himself back into this championship chase in title defense mode with a big win in Dallas. It's Hector with the better run. In fact, identical elapsed times. It's an improvement of 7 positions for Junior, 3 for Krawiec, but give the higher qualifying spot to Hector Arana, who went just a little bit faster in the speed department.
Kind of an interesting wrinkle with Eddie Krawiec. He was telling us today that they've made some changes in application to the power plant for his teammate Andrew Hines, who is not in the countdown to the championship. And depending on how Andrew's day went today, they have a motor prepared that they can put into Eddie's bike that would complement what Andrew would be riding today. But I think Eddie's been pretty solid in both of his passes with the 87. Of course, he looks at this as being a very pivotal time. He made the big gain in points in terms of the countdown last week, and now you've got to sustain that momentum. He says if you're in that mid-pack range and you're 5 or 6 rounds out, you've got to gain a round or 2 this weekend to ensure that you're in the championship up for the final 3 events.
Well, I think Eddie understands too. Last week he got a couple lucky breaks. He didn't have a great motorcycle, and then he rode well when he needed to and got the win. But that was a great pass. He was 105 and 60 foot there, hitting the setup too, that which really helps.
There's Adam Arana, the rookie. Matt Smith side by side. It's Matt Smith with a better time slip. He goes 685 from 8th up to 3rd. Adam Arana will drop a position into 6th, and talk about one of those mid-pack bikes needing this crucial 3rd of 6 events. We're talking Ellie Tongler, 7th in the points, over 6 rounds out in 1st. But hey, you came back from, you know, and won this thing from deep, getting a championship a number of years back. Can you come all the way back with a Suzuki this year?
It's going to be really tough. You know, those V-twins are flying, and we got to string these Suzukis out so hard that we started hurting the engines and everything. So we're just going to have to take it one round at a time and just hope that Suzuki comes out on top for nitro fish and all the people back home.
Ellie, when we talked at Indy, you were a last-minute entry. You said you're always a last-minute entry. Have you secured enough sponsorship to make it to the end of the season?
Yeah, we're going to end up going to the last 3 races. And from there on, it's still up in the air. We don't know if we're going to be running next year or not. So we're just going to run these last 3 races like it's our last season.
Hey, Ellie, your brother won here in 2001. Were you actually here? Because he was a teenager, and you were probably, what, 10 or 11?
Yeah, I was here. I was standing on the right side when the wind light came on. We all started jumping up and down, and it was just a great great outing for us, and I ended up going to the finals, my first final here in 2010. So it's just, we love this track.
Thanks for the time, Ellie.
No problem.
Final pair. It's Pollacheck and it's Ray. The 685.7, that's no improvement. 688 for Pollacheck, no improvement. Michael Ray and George Bryce will wrap up day number 1 here at Gateway Motorsports Park in the number 1 spot. Pollacheck will be down in 7th. And that man right there, that is 19-year-old Chaz Kennedy that will jump aboard a Sovereign Star Buell. They tried to get him entered here. That's a point of contention, too, because you have up until about 1 o'clock Pacific time, Monday, the Monday before national event, to get late entries in, because all of that action went down on Tuesday, and that's why George was so adamant about Tuesday. They were not able to get him entered in time. So day 1 comes to a close with Buell's 1st through 4th, and the Harley of Eddie Krawick on down to Jerry Savoy's 6.888 second pass aboard the Suzuki.
9 through 12, Steve Johnson, Ellie Tonglet, John Hall, and Andrew Hines in that 12th and final transfer position with a 6:93.3 elapsed time.
So as the sun begins to set, you get an opportunity to see those pro stock motorcycle riders currently not qualified, including Batman, Sean Gann, along with the Suzuki of Jimmy Underdahl on down to Michael Phillips. Question there for Phillips is, will he be able to get that Suzuki put back together for 2 more opportunities tomorrow?